Got your hands up cause you think you got it. Going crazy when I even started. Ooh, it's so funny that you think you're winning, cause somebody told you who was spinning.
Fish on, man, fish on. Oh, big again. Big one, big one. Whoa, whoa. Fucking round coat. You can get it in the net. Alex. Oh, big shot, big shot. Smoked it. Drop, drop. Ooh, yeah.
That is 40%.
Let me know if you want me to jump in, Roy. That's it, that's it. Let's go. Pretty ready to go already.
So, 2025, I doubt my best year of fishing, not only personally, but the stuff I recorded and documented and stuff that'll be on the channel for months to come. So yeah, you can look forward to that, and in all honesty, I'm not going to bore you with much more talking, I'll just get straight on with it. So let me take you back to January, when the last minute French trip came good.
Shortly after arriving, I managed to land an 18-pound 4-ounce mirror, which broke my personal best at the time. This PB was to be short-lived though, as the next day I hooked a bigger fish. It fought incredibly hard, and later we found out why. This specific carp was one taken from a handful of river fish that the lake owner had stocked. It came in at 21 pounds 2 ounce. As night began to fall, I had hooked something much larger.
Somewhere down there.
It battled incredibly hard, and when it came into the margins, I could not believe my eyes. A sturgeon, one of two in the lake, and a fish estimated to be around 60 pounds. I stared down at the net in disbelief. This was truly an incredible fish. The following afternoon, I had landed what was thought to be the exact same fish, until, upon closer inspection, I had spotted that I only had one eye, remarking that it was the other sturgeon in the lake, and I had caught both of them over the span of just 2 days. A fish nicknamed One Eye Willie for obvious reasons, which is estimated to be around 50 pounds.
Shortly after arriving home, a reason I'll explain in the video when I make it, I wanted to try at catching my first trout. So I got out on a local river and did exactly that. After getting a taste of brown trout fishing, I carried on with that, set out to a new spot to try break a personal best, and in my first session I landed 2 fish, one of which being that personal best. So as quickly as it started, my trout fishing stopped, and I went with my family on a holiday, which conveniently was placed onto a carp fishery where I thought I'd have a go at breaking my UK personal best carp.
Shortly after arriving, I moved onto the smaller lake on the complex, surface fishing for carp with bread, and I quickly landed 2 very nice fish. Including this Jurassic looking mirror. These fish were nice, but that same evening I moved on to the main lake of the complex to try catch a much bigger fish. I decided to flick a rod to the near margin. While eating my dinner, I had a bleep on my receiver. I rushed outside to see the rod hanging off the rod rest, and I was into the biggest fish so far. A nice common, which I would say to be around 16 pounds. Next night I had managed a big carp once again from that same margin spot. A nice half lin of about 20 pounds. It was now my last night and I had to make it count. This small mirror came in off a rod positioned out in the middle of the lake. I recast it to this same spot and hooked something that fought doubly as hard. I weighed this fish in at 18.5 pounds, marking it my new UK personal best.
Shortly after returning from that, I got straight back out on the rivers and got stuck in with some trout fishing yet again, going to a new spot and hooking a very, very big fish.
Unfortunately, I wasn't wearing my chest camera at this time, but a very large brown trout had followed the lure right up to my feet. A true monster, a fish of around 5 pounds, but nothing I could do would tempt it to eat the lure. After changing spot, I flicked my lure to a likely looking area downstream. And with a few subtle bumps I thought to be the lure just banging against the riverbed, the rod tip whacked round and I was into the zigzag fish. And sadly, in the midst of my excitement, I'd let the line fall slack and the fish had managed to get off the hook. I tried, but I slowly accepted that it wasn't coming back.
After that minor upset, I didn't let it bother me too much and I got straight back into some trout fishing, quickly breaking my personal best once again. On these local rivers, still after that personal best brown trout, and yet again I broke my PB, and there's absolutely epic footage of this one. I'm gonna clip that. So once again I set out on my local rivers, this time testing out some new ultralight BFS gear, when some people had told me that I should go back to the spot where I'd lost that big brown trout, and with light fading I did just that and hooked a fish of a lifetime.
On this session in particular, I set out to test my new BFS gear targeting small trout on the exact stretch of river where I'd landed my first brown trout. Although I knew the spot displayed in the clip on screen was much more likely to produce, I was informed by a man that I was not to go back. But on the river I was fishing, I quickly began speaking to two blokes, and after informing them about the large brown trout I had lost at this very spot, They said that I should return and that the man would most likely not bother me again. Those words stuck with me, and after a long day of blanking, sunlight and my hope to catch it began to fade, so I did exactly that. While retrieving a 2-inch paddle tail lure, I saw a humongous silver shape in the margin threshing its head, so in desperation I set the hook into the unknown fish, and I was on to something truly incredible. Almost impossibly, it was a salmon, and the first one recorded to be caught out of the river on rod and reel in the last 40 years. And after a fight that lasted 8 minutes, I managed to get the better of it. As it lay on the mat, a wave of realization occurred, and I almost had a heart attack, especially being as the hook slipped out of his mouth the second it hit the mat.
Pop right out. Oh my goodness.
This was an Atlantic salmon kelp of 75 centimeters and around 8 pounds. An epic personal best and a river record smashed. But most importantly, redemption for the fish I had lost a few months ago. Also, I thought.
On this session in particular, I set out to catch a personal best lure called chub, having caught a smaller one previously. So I was trying for the chub all day. They weren't really playing ball when I met another angler named Alex, who was fishing with floating bread, and he hadn't had one either. And this when he suggested the idea of us working our way downriver and fishing some quote-unquote better spots. Alex quickly landed a small brown trout out of one of these spots, but we progressed downriver to another spot where there was something a lot bigger waiting for me.
A brilliant cast and some lightly looking flow downstream accompanied with a slow paced retrieve resulted in a big hit on the rod. It pulled back hard and I had the feeling I'd hooked into something very special yet again, and when it got in close I caught a glimpse of that brown body and distinct markings. Amongst the thrashing on the surface, Alex managed to slip it into the net, and we were both overjoyed to see a humongous brown trout. A fish of around 3 pounds and 52 centimeters, doubling my old personal best, and more importantly a fish I had worked so hard for.
Next off, I set off on a fishing adventure to Spain. A trip on the River Ebro that was to last a week, smashed multiple PBs, caught some absolute monsters, and genuinely just the best time fishing I've ever had. I'm just going to let this clips do the speaking for themselves.
Shortly after arriving, I hooked into my first ever cat. It came in at 17 pounds and had some incredible markings. The next day I set out on the boat for some top water bass fishing. Soon after, I'd managed to land my first one. Be it small, it was still a very nice fish to catch. Still desperate for something bigger, I stuck to the catfish rods the next day and hooked something much larger. A new personal best catfish that came in at 40 pounds. Although I still didn't have my 80 pounder that everybody else had caught. The anticipation for a fish of that size grew, and it inspired me to fish for them even harder. The next day I hooked a large carp, and I was eager to get it in and break my international PB of 21 pounds. A stunning River Ebro common that came in at 27 pounds. The following afternoon I hooked a fish which Jeroen expected to be an incredibly big carp. I was eager to break my personal best and full of hope, and it's safe to say he was right with this 36 pound mirror, once again smashing my personal best. Although it was our last full day and I still hadn't caught my big cat.
How deep are these scores, yeah?
The final night of the trip fell and I hooked into something huge. It put up an immense scrap. This fish was not giving up anytime soon. As I peered into the torch-lit margin, my breath was taken away. That was it, the fish I had been longing for ever since I arrived. This immaculate catfish came in just under 2 meters and 84 pounds. And of course, the mandatory bucket.
I set out with Alex to fish for pike on my brand new setup with the 15cm jerkbait, and what I caught absolutely neither of us expected.
After losing a small jack pike earlier in the day, I casted back to the same exact spot. And while retrieving, there was an abrupt pause, and then the rod tip jolted round. I was on, and it quickly immersed itself in some snags and pulled hard. I thought it to be another small jack pike, but as it began to come in, it was fighting strangely. It came up to the surface and I had spotted the fish, and I couldn't believe my eyes to see another enormous brown trout with my jerkbait hanging out of his mouth. Second chance, and this time I wasn't going to let it go. Amongst the chaos, Alex had managed to slip it into the net. I stared down into the net with disbelief. This was truly an incredible fish. It measured in at 63 centimeters. And around 6 pounds. Not only was it another PB smashed and river record broken, but it was redemption for the fish I had lost many months ago.
To be honest, I wanted to catch one of these for a while. Nothing too special, but on a light lure, by complete accident, I managed a very big roach while fishing with my friend. So, to wrap up this year, I did a few canal pike fishing sessions, landed 2 nice fish, 1 smaller one and 1 that broke my personal best right toward the end of the year, which honestly a really nice end to it, and I'll play the footage of those now.
The end of the year was approaching, and with the colder weather I set out for some pike fishing. I was using a 15cm jerkbait and I had been blanking all day. When some people fishing with maggots moved out of their swim, I looked at it as an opportunity. On the second cast there, I was hooked into a pike.
She couldn't stop, you couldn't hold you back. You were so real, so real.
Alex managed to get it into the net with no hassle.
Words are like bullets and they break through your skin. And
A pike of around 70 centimeters and 5.5 pounds.
Well, it feels like rust seeping into your soul. Stay
It was a nice fish, but I still wasn't satisfied.
Stay cold, stay
But on a separate session, I hooked something that felt much bigger. A pike of around 85 centimeters and 10 pounds. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and stay tuned as content this year